What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bolsa. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. And ladies and gentlemen, making his return over on my right, weighing in At 210 pounds, 6'4", the one, the only, it's Brad. Hey, what's up, buddy?
It's.
So
I'll
close.
take it. I'll take it. It's not Savage.
Not quite, dude. There's only one Scott Savage. That's
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he's definitely a unique guy. That's for sure. But we got him on our team, and we're glad to have him. But Brad, thank you for joining me today, buddy. If those who don't know who Brad Davidson is over in the Northern Nerdcast, why don't you give us a lowdown?
Well, just a podcaster. I organized a show, which we were just talking about. Hopefully, we can get to that very soon with the restrictions and whatnot. But you can find me pretty much anywhere on social under the Northern Nerdcast, and Twitter is the Northern Nerdcast, but it's spelled CST. I don't know why, but that's the handle they gave me. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Again, thanks for joining us today. Scott is away. He'll be back tomorrow. But you should be here live over at twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube, to join in on the conversation. But you can't join us live, no big deal. Hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Brad, coming up on today's show, dude, we got a hot one today. Cyberpunk 2077 is back on top. Really? We'll get into that discussion. Game Pass is great for Avalanche Studios, and will we see GOW Ragnarok next month? Man, let's get into it, Brad, because we got a lot to talk about today.
Sounds good.
Avalanche Studios CEO says Game Pass has been great for us. I think his name is Wolf, was speaking to GamesIndustry.biz about the company's current titles in the service, such as Just Cause 4 and The Hunter, Call of the Wild. Focusing on the latter, Wolf said that the service model has worked out due to Xbox Game Pass. The game is claimed to have hit 7 million players since its release and is still seeing around 1 million active players per month. Dude, that is huge.
Big number.
Right? Wolf also added that Game Pass has been a good way for people to check out the game as a result. Purchase a variety of available DLCs. The closing thought was that it made Xbox a way more important platform than they ever initially thought. Game Pass, I got a quote here from him. Game Pass has been really great for us, especially if we look at our self-published title, The Hunter, Call of the Wild, helped us prove our service model in Xbox Game Pass was fantastic because we were able to reach so many more players. It's a good way for people to try the game, and since we have such a massive DLC catalog for that title, over 20 DLCs, it's a beautiful way of getting people in, getting engaged, and showing that it's a stellar game. Then people are really tempted to buy more. So the business model really works to our advantage. Brad, I'm going to stop it right there. There's a couple little more articles behind that one, but really, I want to bring up the other side of Game Pass, and what I mean by that is PlayStation. Because we've heard Jim Ryan come out and say he does not see this business model working. He doesn't see it working for them. He doesn't see it working for Xbox. And to me, that's a baffling statement to hear altogether when we see time and time again how important Game Pass has really become, not only for Xbox, but for other studios.
And and you hit it right on the head, because I've always been like a Sony guy. Like,
yep.
I don't know.
Sure.
It's just, that's what I grew up with. You guys actually got me into Game Pass on the PC, and him to say something like that is just mind-boggling. Like, they have a streaming service on the PS5, well, on PlayStation in general with the PlayStation Now. Why?
Sure.
Like, you have something that is incredible in the Game Pass, and like, why you don't copy it like
completely.
It's like the school analogy. Like, let me borrow your homework, but I'll change a few letters.
That's right.
But they have a model, and the PlayStation Now is great. Like, they have some really good titles. It's not anything like Game Pass, but
sure.
Like right now, I don't play it myself, but Avengers is on it right now, and like all these other games.
Yep.
But it's there, so why don't they take that and adapt it? But again, they're not ever team players. It's always, well, we didn't think about it first, so it doesn't work. Hands down, that's it. We're Game Pass isn't going to work. It's not in our business model, and he's wrong.
I think, yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, I think what it is right now they're the top dog, and they're kind of riding that. And after a while, you kind of become complacent, right? And I wonder if that's going to kind of catch up to them in the end. And we've heard rumors that Sony is working on something to compete with the side of Game Pass because, like I just said, dude, it's an important part of the service. It is what Xbox is basing their entire library on. Their entire business model now is focused on Game Pass. It's not worried about selling you the Xbox. They want to sell you the Game Pass model, right? And get you in on their servers and that kind of stuff and to keep you around because I think Scott and I touched on not too long ago the fact that there's over 20 million users each and every month on that service. Like, dude, that's
compared to the 2 million on PlayStation now.
Exactly, right? So that's a huge influx of players. So when you get somebody like Wolves who come over and wants to put on their the Wild game where it's a hunting game, man. Like that really, let's take a look at that. That is a niche genre, right? Like there's a specific library of people who are going to go to that title. But if you're like, even I looked at it, I'm not a hunter at all, but I'm like, hey, that's on there. Maybe I should check that out. And that's what gives you the ability to do this. And then that's what he touches on. They have 20 pieces of DLC that people go, hey man, you know what? This game is cool. I'm now going to buy this, 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 and this. And with an active user base every month of 1 million players, that's not a bad way to go for your game that if you would have tried to sell, you probably would have made even half of that, right?
Exactly. It's a very good platform to have, so kudos.
No, absolutely. How long, Brad, do you think it takes for PlayStation to announce their version of Xbox Game Pass?
Well, we're going to be talking about something in a little bit that there's going to be their focus for the time being.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think this year, like if they do, it's going to be like they're not going to announce anything. They're not going to tweet anything. You're going to get the No Man's Sky treatment. And then all of a sudden it's because that's what Sony does is if they've got something that they know is going to grab, they're not going to announce anything because
why?
I have to bring it up, but Blue Box Studios, like, I mean, not in that sense, that
Silent Hill.
Yeah, like they're not going to announce anything big, and then or they're not going to announce it at all, and then they're just going to drop it, and that's what Sony does.
Yeah, and this is so if everybody like Brad said, and Brad's a Sony guy. This is someone kind of coming at them. So I appreciate that, dude. I grew up on PlayStation. I'm over at ITG. I'm the PlayStation guy. This is what I like to cover. I like to cover the Xbox, but I just like to cover games as a whole. But I'm always a big fan of what PlayStation does. And when they bought Gaikai all those years ago, I thought here we go. Like this is the movement we're getting into, right? With streaming and all this other stuff. And then PlayStation now is doing well, but it hasn't taken off to the extremes that we've seen with Game Pass. So I think they need, and a lot of people are like, well, they don't need to worry about it. I'm like, well, no, they probably should, because PlayStation is a business. And if it's going to make money, that's what PlayStation is going to focus on. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care about selling you X, Y, and Z over here because A, B, and C are going to sell you more over here. And that's what they do. It's a business, and they got to keep it afloat. And how do you do that? You need to shift a little bit what you're doing with PlayStation now and somewhat mimic what they're doing over on Xbox with Game Pass.
Absolutely.
I think that's what they need to focus on. But Brad, let's get into God of War Ragnarok trailer rumored to feature in a state of play next month. Dude, okay. I'm going to read the article and then we're going to touch on it because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. As spotted by the gamer Reddit user Quim6 recently posted saying that their sources claim there will be a new God of War Ragnarok trailer in August, suggesting that we could get a first proper look at Kratos and Atreus' next adventure in just a couple of weeks. Quim6 doesn't provide any further details as to what we can expect from the trailer, but is widely assumed that the sequel to Sony Santa Monica's 2018 hit will be closely linked to Thor and his involvement in Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology. While we don't know much about what's in store for Kratos, Quim6 suggests that God of War isn't all we'll see. As well as the new trailer, they suggest that we'll get updates for Horizon Forbidden West, including a release date and some more trailers. On top of that, they suggest that we would get a surprise if GTA 5 Expanded and Enhancement Edition also shows up, at the major event that they claim is scheduled for August. They're suggesting it's a state of play. Brad, I'm not buying it, dude. God of War, we already know, is delayed until 2022. I can't see them showing anything right now. Why would they do that? Because I think it's gonna irritate a lot of PlayStation fans because we're already a little upset that it's delayed, right? We know how delays can infuriate the internet. So why would you then showcase something and go, by the way, you're not gonna get it anytime soon?
Well, and that's just the thing. Like, and they haven't even come out and fully said that the title is Ragnarok. Like, so why like, I mean, if it's a very badly kept secret, like, because everywhere says Ragnarok, but they haven't even announced the title yet. So getting a trailer for a delayed game, to me, would be like Sony saying, we don't really care about Horizon, so let's just show God of War. Because for myself, I love both games. Like, I didn't really like the original God of Wars, like on the PS2. I love the new one because I love the Norse mythology.
Sure.
But if I had to choose between God of War and Horizon, I'd go God of War. And if they're gonna show something and then tease people with that, it's gonna make people upset. And they're like, "Wow, we're only getting Horizon this year. I'd rather have God of War."
No, I see that absolutely. But what I think if we're gonna get anything next month, is the release date for Horizon Forbidden West. I think that's what we'll see. I don't think we'll see anything on God of War. And I'd be shocked to see anything on GTA because Rockstar does their own thing. They don't need anybody's help. Right?
And I'm also surprised we just had a state of play. Like, they usually
That's the other thing.
4 times a year, like once every quarter.
Yeah.
We had one was it July, end of June? I don't remember. It was last week.
We just did the state of play last week where they showcased Deathloop, right?
Yeah.
And then in May, just before E3 hit, we saw an in-depth look at Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Which then tells me, why would we see anything next month? That's not what Sony has done in the past. Maybe they're looking to shake things up a bit and present something else, but we just got a state of play. Dude, a month away for another one? I'd be shocked to see that. And especially, I'd be shocked to see anything in God of War. You want to show it? I'm there. There's no doubt about
Absolutely.
it. I'll be there because I want to see what's going on. But at the same time, I don't see it. I don't see that even being a possibility. I think this is a complete rumor, and you should take rumors with a grain of salt. I contemplated reaching out to Sony, but we always get the usual Sony return email of, comment on speculations and rumors and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, there's no point in wasting their time or mine because they're not going to answer anything on this, right? I think it is clearly just a rumor.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be a good rumor if it was true, but
yeah, absolutely. But we'll see what happens. Brad, let's get into some Cyberpunk leads PS4 downloads in June. PlayStation blog revealed the most downloaded games on the PSN store for June for both PS4 and PS4 across Europe and the US and Canada. Acting as one of the few true PS5 exclusives, Insomniac's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart topped the PS5 charts. On the other hand, Cyberpunk 2077 topped the PS4 list for both regions. Brad, how surprised are you by this? Are you surprised at all? And if you are, how much? Because I'm surprised, man. I'm really surprised.
You know what? I'm not really, because when they had originally pulled it from the store, Sony had said that due to the fact that they had pulled it, like I'd read somewhere, all of the other games in sales. So like there's, it seems like we're in this phase where, like, you talk about stealth genres and all these games. Right now, it seems to be the that future style of game, like Cyberpunk, Ghost Runner, like all these games that are out now are stylized like that, and people want to give it a chance because, especially with like The Witcher and all this stuff that CDPR is knocked out of the park. Like I enjoyed Cyberpunk, but like you said, you'll never go. Well, I don't think you'll ever go back, even with the DLCs, which they've already missed their promised window.
Sure.
But it just seems like people want to get invested in that world. With I want to say it's because of The Witcher, with all the new like the new enhanced edition that's coming out. It's just something to pass the time because it's not nearly as long as The Witcher, is.
No.
It's not even as long as there's the smallest DLC from The Witcher, but people want that experience. So I mean, I'm not surprised that it sold as quickly as it did and as well as it did with the week.
Yeah, so it hit obviously number one for PS4 in North America and Europe. The biggest thing was for me that they had like 30,000 returns on that game for PlayStation. So did those people buy back in now that they're going, okay, hey, it's apparently fixed? And a lot of people were like, hey, man, it's on here now. How bad is this game? There's
Exactly.
that mentality as well sometimes, right? People want to check it out for themselves and see if they have the problems. CD Projekt Red have worked, I think, what sounds to be really, really hard to try and get it up to what they classify as satisfactory right now, which Scott and I touched on previously. Just doesn't sound good from a PR perspective of, hey, our game is satisfactory at the moment. So, but you know what? It's there. I enjoyed the story, but we were just hindered by so many other technical glitches and issues. But there's just, I don't know. I want The Witcher, and we're going to get into that hopefully before the end of the show there, Brad. But it's, yeah, there you go. If you haven't checked it out, it is now back on PlayStation. So it's there for your cyber eyes to take a look at. Brad, why don't you take off the next one, buddy? Because the next two articles are all you.
Okay, well, so this one actually kind of disappoints me a little bit, but it sounds like there's an issue in the Yakuza Judgment series. Because Sega did score really big signing up Takuya, I'm gonna butcher his name, Takuya Kimura, who is one of Japan's biggest celebrities right now. And he was the main character in Judgment, and he's gonna be the main character in the sequel. But unfortunately, it does look like it's a bit of a downfall because there's an issue between Sega's legal team as well as his talent agency. And I guess it has to do with the fact that the talent agency doesn't want the game on PC. Before we got on the show, I checked Steam, and the Yakuza series is on Steam, but not Judgment. And they apparently, both the agency and the legal team, think that Steam is a pirating service, from what I read. And they don't want their lead character or their biggest star's image illegally distributed on Steam, which is mind-boggling to me because if you do your research, Steam is the largest PC device for games.
Absolutely.
So,
like, it just, to me, it sounds like someone over the agency doesn't understand what Steam is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not a torrent. You're not going to go rip games off there. You're going to pay for them. Steam is one of the biggest platforms in the entire world. Never mind just PC, right? Like, when it comes to gaming, there's no bigger platform than Steam. It's that simple. So it would make a lot of sense to bring your game to Steam because it's going to sell, especially Judgment.
Well, exactly, and like it's according. There's a quote here from one of the agencies. It says, those on the side of the game developer and those on the side of Kimura's talent agency, Johnny's, are unable to reach an agreement regarding the platforms to sell the game. So they want it on the consoles, but they don't want it on PC. So it's just, it would be really sad for this series to end, but I mean, they still have Yakuza if worse comes to worse.
Which is on Steam. So it's just like...
Exactly. Like, the whole series. Like,
weird.
It's very, very mind-boggling. So, and then
weird.
Sega's legal team also has attacked SteamDB, which has nothing to do with Steam, without doing their homework, saying that they're illegally selling keys to games. And they're not even... All that is analytical information website. Good job, Sega.
Right? Like... Somebody needs to sort their stuff out over there, and then hopefully people on Steam can get their hands on Judgment. I don't think PlayStation would be bringing their games over to Steam if it was a torrent site. You're not going to get a torrent site over there, and then PlayStation should go, here, you can have our game. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. No. Someone needs to check their homework a little bit more before proceeding any further and get the game out there for gamers who want to pay for this game and play it.
Absolutely.
What a
it's
weird
coming in September, I think. So,
dude, September's looking loaded. Like, that's a hot month.
My wallet's not looking loaded.
No, it's looking a little empty. That's for sure, man. let's get into the next one, Brad. What's happening with the world of Final Fantasy?
All right. Well, it doesn't sound like Square Enix is going to be making the Tokyo game show, unfortunately. Final Fantasy is something I grew up with. I know this is not your jam at all, but the producer, what I'm gonna butcher this name too, Naoki Yoshida, who's been very heavily involved with Final Fantasy 14. He's a producer on this one.
Right.
They think they're going to be missing the window for TGS, unfortunately, but they want to show something substantial. They don't want to show bits and pieces of a game that, like, I'm super pumped for. Like, I wasn't at first because it looked a little bit too getting back into the old school stuff, but the more I've been reading about it, it sounds really good. But so he quotes, "We really want to show something for Tokyo Game Show 2021, but we probably can't make the deadline. We definitely want to show it, but isn't it better if when we do, you're able to play it right after?" So it sounds like they want it, like, well, it doesn't sound like he wants the game to be played almost immediately after whatever they're going to be showing. But he added, "I personally don't like when small bits are released to string people along. I talked about this with the team and director Takai-san. We want to reveal something where people will say, 'I want to play it right now, release it now.' And we're like, 'Here you go.'" So,
which is cool. We're starting to see a lot of studios do that, Brad. Like, that's taking the Todd Howard approach on a lot of their games until we hit Starfield, of course. But, a lot of the other titles that they've dropped, they announced Fallout, and boom, there it is. Like, within a couple weeks, right? So you can get into that and get ready to go and keep the engagement and the interest alive instead of trying to drag it out for a year or 6 months or, like, you know what I mean? Or a couple of years. Because how often do we see a trailer drop and then the release date is like 2 years away, or it gets delayed is the other side of it too. How many games do we see now get delayed, which gets pushed? And then after a while, you see so much and you see so much. By the time the game's out, you're like, man, I don't care anymore.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's very. I'm again, like I said, I'm excited for it, but I think we're still a ways out. It won't be out this year. There's no way. Might not even be out next year, but who knows?
We'll see what's happening there. Brad, we have a rumor update of what was happening over with the Warner Brothers interested in selling NetherRealm and TT Games. We saw the merger just happen not too long ago with the fact that Warner has merged with Media Discovery, and Discovery is now part of their network, and that's where we saw a lot of studios kind of either merge or get the boot. And we got an update saying a representative from the Warner Brothers provided a statement regarding the possibility of Warner Brothers games selling other studios, confirming that NetherRealm Studios and TT Games will continue to remain a part of Warner Brothers games and all are included in the Warner Media Discovery merger. So they're not going anywhere. I thought that was good to hear. But part of me is like, man, if you did let NetherRealm go, that could put them onto other IP fighting games as well, right? Like we always joke on the show that how much we would love to see them get the license to Marvel and what they could create with an actual Marvel fighting game. I know this isn't really up your alley, but this is where I come in because, dude, Mortal Kombat and Injustice are wicked games. I've played the crap out of them. I play Mortal Kombat 11. I haven't played it in a couple days, actually, but that game is so cool that I've invested a lot of time into these fighting games. And NetherRealm is one studio that's always kind of stuck with me as I've kind of grown up. And I think we've seen NetherRealm grow up along the way when they were introducing their fighting mechanics and styles and everything else. So, dude, give me a Marvel fighting game by NetherRealm would be awesome.
Absolutely.
One last topic, I think. Oh, nope. Brad, like our show as always, buddy. It just...
Time flies.
That's just it, dude. This is it. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the one show that brings you all the hottest in gaming news. We'll be back again tomorrow. Scott will be back tomorrow as well. I'm Drew. That is Brad. You can find him at Northern Nerdcast. And everybody, will see you tomorrow inside the game.